everybody. My name's Elizabeth, and welcome back to my channel where I encourage everyone to get out and enjoy their life, even if that means doing it by yourself. So today I got the opportunity to see another musical, but I did not go alone. And I actually went with my best friend. I took her. She helped me out immensely when I was down with my broken leg earlier this year. And so just to say thank you, I took her to this musical that we both wanted to see. So I was able to film a little bit in the theater and before the show and things like that. But I never take a lot of, footage, but I took even less than normal, I think. Just because I was with her and I was focusing my attention on her. But let me go ahead and show you the footage that I did take right now, and then we'll talk about the show after. All right, to start with, I did get my magnet, and here it is. Pretty standard, and it looks like Back to the Future. All right, so let's talk about the show. It was about what I expected. I went in, anytime I go into a show that is based on a movie, I go in thinking, you know what, this is probably going to be a lot of fun, but it's probably not going to be the best thing I've ever seen. It's probably going to be just like more fluff, more like a summer blockbuster type musical, but not a whole lot of depth to it. And that's kind of what I got, It was the same plot as the movie. And even a few of the same songs, like, The Power of Love and Johnny Be Good and things like that. Like the songs you hear in the movie are songs in the show too. And then also they have a lot of original music too. But none of the music was super memorable. Like I'm not going to be, walking down the street humming any of the songs, except for the ones that I already know, like Johnny Be Good is just a classic. So, but that's not from the musical, they just used it. But none of the other music was, it's just not groundbreaking, or anything that's going to be like, oh, that was a fantastic new song. It's just like kind of did its job and it, fit the musical and that was about it. It was pretty funny, and the special effects were awesome. And that's kind of like what I went in hoping and kind of knowing was that, the DeLorean and things like that, was going to be pretty impressive. And I wasn't disappointed, the very first scene where you see the DeLorean, like at the mall, it kind of like, they actually pulled off, like where Marty McFly is there kind of looking for Doc and then the car just kind of comes out of nowhere. Yeah, that happens on stage. Like that happens on stage. And like it's like the back of the stage is all kind of dark. And then all of a sudden like the car like slides out. Like it worked very well and it was very impressive. Yeah, every time the DeLorean was like a part in a thing, it was just a lot of it was a lot of fun, very exciting and very well done. It even flew at the end. Yeah, so no complaints there. And yeah, that's probably the best part about it was just anytime there was like a special effect with the car, it was very exciting. The musicians were fine. The singers, they were fine. The problem with a show like this is everybody is kind of like affecting a voice because they're trying to like be a character. Like the guy who played Doc Brown was putting on a voice to be Doc Brown, and then he kind of sang that way. And so you're not really hearing their talent as a singer. You're seeing them act and also sing. You know, like the songs are almost more just like an extension of their character performance and not so much like a representation of their vocal abilities. And not that, you know, of course, any musical, you want your character to be like singing stuff that's like in character. But, you know, with most other musicals, the point is to hear the point is to hear people like sing and sing well. And that didn't seem to be the point here. Not that they sing bad, just like everybody seemed to be sort of like putting on a voice and then singing in that voice. And so you couldn't really get an idea like what their actual talent level was as far as singing. So as a vocalist, that was kind of disappointing just because I was like, I mean, these could be good people, you know, like the lady who played Lorraine, she just finished the tour of Six, if you've heard that music. It's a very famous musical right now, where she played Anne Boleyn, which I imagine she would have had to like be a very impressive singer. I've never seen the show, but like to, you know, that's a very, you know, it's a very well-known show right now. And to play Anne Boleyn, I would think that, yeah, she would have to be impressive. But again, she was like putting on sort of this like whiny, not quite whiny, but sort of like a nasalish, like, yeah, like whine of a voice. And she sang like that. And I was like, is that your actual voice? You know, like she wasn't like flat or anything. And like, you know, she did some impressive like technical stuff, but like the tone of her voice was more like a character and not like an actual, you know, singer. And I kind of like, it seemed like that with so many of the characters that it was hard to get like a beat on if they were actually like, if they actually sounded good, you know? So that was just, again, as a vocalist who likes to hear like people sing well, it was just a little disappointing for me. No, I did have a ton of fun. I don't regret that I saw it. I'm really glad I saw it. I like seeing different kinds of shows. But, you know, if someone asked me, you know, should they go, I would just make sure they knew those things. Like, you know, so what are you looking for in a show? Are you wanting to be impressed with like the music and the vocals? Not the show for you. If you're wanting to laugh and, you know, see some really cool like stage production and some really cool special effects done right on stage in front of you, absolutely go. It's really cool. So it's going to depend on what kind of shows you enjoy. This one, again, it's kind of a one and done for me. But that's the case with most shows that are based on movies. A couple years ago, before I started my vlog, I saw the musical Mrs. Doubtfire, and I also saw Beetlejuice the musical, which I kind of put both of those in the same category. You know, they're based on movies, they're comedies, and they kind of fall into the same thing. Like a lot of them, like they're putting on like a voice, like Beetlejuice, obviously he's singing like this raspy kind of like Beetlejuice voice. And Mrs. Doubtfire, you know, it's a man pretending to be a woman singing. And so, you know, and so it's, yeah, kind of the same thing. So, and I have the same kind of critiques for those as I do for this, although not quite as bad as far as the putting on the voices. But, you know, the music isn't very memorable. It's just kind of serviceable for the show and stuff like that. So that's kind of going to be my review for, I think, most of these types of musicals that I see. If they're based on a movie, they're probably not going to be as impressive as a musical just because, you know, they're inserting songs into an existing story that doesn't really need songs. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is that the story was already fine and well told without all these musical numbers. And so then you try to insert these musical numbers and it just doesn't always fit the way that a normal musical would. So because I'm single, I do spend most of my free time alone. However, I do make it a point to get together with friends and family as often as possible. And I want to encourage you to do the same. As our world becomes more and more digital, it becomes so easy to spend more and more time alone. And for introverts like me, it's so easy to give into that impulse and to stop putting the effort into our friendships and relationships with family. However, our mental health, mine and yours, requires relationships with people, not online, but face to face. So, even though my channel is based on getting out and enjoying your life, even if that means doing it by yourself, I still want to encourage you to put in the time and effort to build the friendships and relationships in your life and make them strong and healthy. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram at Lead the Life Vlog, and I'll see you next time. Bye.